Let's hear from him again right now as he joins us here on WEEI, and he's brought to you by Shaw's Star Market, perfecting the art of fresh, and by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when your drains don't flow. Brian Scalabrine, how are we doing this week?
I've had better weeks, and that was, I'm glad we won, but a little alarming to me.
So we just played the clip there, and I know we all listened to you extensively on postgame, but for everybody who didn't hear, what was alarming about the way the Celtics played last night in Game 1?
Yeah, so, I don't know how many people watch all the NBA, right? Like, you watch the Minnesota Timberwolves go at it, and you watch all these teams play, and I get it. Like, we played, like, Miami's JV, we played Cleveland's JV. Now we don't have respect for Indiana for whatever reason, but it really looks like to me that we're not playing consistent defense or getting into the ball. And at halftime, I didn't want to overreact. I was sitting up there and, okay, this guy's doing this, this guy's doing that. But I don't know who's watching that thinking that this is like the level of intensity and the level of defensive focus to win a championship. I did not see that last night. We were very fortunate, and we're so much better than they are. And there are times when we overwhelm them with our talent. But for the most part, I was really, really surprised at our inability so far throughout the playoffs to play a consistent game. And I'm not talking making shots. It's just energy and effort throughout the 48 minutes. It has not been there. And like I said, maybe it's because we're not challenged, but, man, we're playing around with fire here.
So, Scal, I was watching you guys in postgame last night, and you're echoing a lot of what you said then about their defensive effort. What was it specifically that you feel like the Celtics were coming up short with on defense against what's, the second best offense in the league in the Pacers?
I mean, just impacting the ball, allowing Indiana to, drive wherever they wanted to go, the multiple efforts from them. And I would also say offensively, like if you look at Indiana, when they start their offense, they're about, 19, 20 seconds, right? They'll make like 4 drives to the paint, kick it. And so we have to make 4 defensive energy efforts, right? So if TJ McConnell drives, the other 4 players have to react to that. And if they kick it out, then all 4 players have to move to that. So you think about an NBA game, there's about 100 possessions. That game, there's a lot more than that because, they're playing at a lot faster pace. So you think about that, and every single time, like defensively, the Celtics are making 4, 5, 6 efforts and trying to stop the ball, trying to close out, trying to get to here, trying to get to there, trying to switch on a pick and roll, and it's a lot, right? And eventually, something happens and then they get an open shot. Maybe they make it, but more than likely, they're just they're an okay shooting team. But, it takes a lot of energy and effort. So we conversely, minus the first, 12 points of the game or anytime we're on a run, we walk the ball up the floor, and then Indiana's making one hard defensive effort. Now, I get it. We have better players, but one hard defensive effort, and then they rebound the ball, and then they do it all over again. So that's what I'm kind of harping on. I don't really – I was down on the defensive intensity, but it's a combination of both. Everything is connected in the playoffs. You got to play good offense, and you got to play good defense. So I just think that our level of intensity in that game was way, way, way low. And, I mean, maybe we can beat Indiana because – maybe they shouldn't have beat Milwaukee, and maybe they shouldn't have beat a healthy Knicks team. So okay, but I feel like we could have lost that game, and it feels like we're doing the same thing we're doing all over again.
Scal, with the benefit of hindsight now today, do you get the sense the Pacers feel more like they can hang with the Celtics, or like they gave it their best shot last night and it wasn't enough?
Oh, they definitely feel like they can hang. This thing about the in-season tournament, and they're thinking to themselves, we're all delusional in our own way, NBA players are. So they're thinking to themselves, like, all we got to do is take care of the basketball, and we could beat this team. They're not the almighty Celtics in the Boston Garden and all that stuff. That's what the Indiana Pacers are probably thinking when it comes to going into game 2 or 3 or going back home or stretching the series, whatever it is. I think they have a lot of confidence.
Talking to Brian Scalabrine, joining us here on Jones and Mego with Arcan on WEEI. Different ways to look at Tatum's night last night. Mego and myself skew clutch. He ultimately came through in overtime. Arcan skews differently. He was poor down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Had a great defensive stop on Halliburton at the end of regulation, but largely wasn't rising to the moment. Jaylen did. What'd you think of Tatum's night?
Well, I'm just overall with Tatum want him to be more aggressive, it's hard to nitpick 36 and 12, right? Like that's tough, and I get it. Like if they would have won that game, we would be criticizing Tatum in the fourth quarter and down the stretch. I get all that, but it did go to overtime. He did play well. He did deliver in the clutch. So, I just got to live with what he ended up doing. But I think all in all, and I think I'm pretty consistent with this, I want our star players to be more aggressive. I want them to make more plays. I want them to attack more. I want them, after they make a play, let's say they get downhill and they kick it out to a guy, and even if that guy misses, I want to see that possession again. So just in general, when I watch, I feel like our star players got to be a lot more aggressive. And I'm not just looking at the Indiana Pacers, but maybe for them, they're just like giving the minimum amounts of effort that you have to give to beat the Pacers. And then when we play Minnesota or Dallas, they'll give the minimum amount of effort to beat those guys. But I just think that our star players have to play a lot better in general and dominate the game. And I was really happy with the way Tatum played in 3 and 4 of Cleveland. I thought that's the mindset that I needed. I don't care that he turned the ball over a little bit more. That happens in the playoffs because the defenses are better. It's a little bit more physical. I don't mind that he went like 10 for 25 from the field. I don't mind any of those things. That doesn't matter to me. I just care about the mindset of Tatum and Brown, and I want them to think like to go out there and score 40 every single night they can. And also if a team comes and closes off your lane, make the right play. But it takes an aggressive mindset, and I would like to see that from those guys throughout the entire game.
Scal, did you see the interview that Jaylen Brown did with Lisa Salters right after the game on ESPN, in which he said, JT finally woke up, and what do you make of that? I guess that just Jaylen Brown saying that on TV.
I was okay with that. He did. He woke up in the fourth quarter, and he showed – Tatum is one of the most talented players in the league. When he is aggressive and getting downhill, he's tall. He could shoot it. He could shoot it off the bounce. He could beat you at the rim. He could finish through contact. He could move the ball. He could see over the defense. He's 6'9", 6'10". So, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of Tatum finally waking up. But I've been saying it, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know anything about basketball, but I think Tatum needs to be like that. This is the playoffs, and I love moving the ball in the regular season. I'm all for it. I'm all for, feeding the beast. If Holiday has a great game, which he did, I'm all for that. You could be a great player and make, aggressive plays without shooting the ball a ton. But I just think, an aggressive mindset is what I'm looking for. And what we saw in overtime is, the mindset I'm looking for.
All right, let's assume then that this series is a close series and that we get more close games like this, Scal. Another situation where the Celtics have the ball, need a shot to tie or win the game. Who gets the ball, Tatum or Brown?
Well, that play was designed for Tatum. It was a double curl on each side, and whoever broke open and if Indiana made a mistake, they were going to go to that. So, I think Joe's going to design a play for probably Jason Tatum and kind of go from there. And if there's an opportunity for Jaylen Brown as a secondary option, I think that's kind of the direction that he would go.
Who would you give it to if you were coaching?
I would give it to Jaylen Brown getting to his right hand. So if I would clear put him on the left wing so we can get to the middle of the floor, I think they would be all keyed in on Tatum. I think they wouldn't leave Tatum. I think Brown would have the entire right side of the floor. I think a 15-foot elevated jump shot from him with a guy rolling and a guy feeling behind would be a pretty tough thing to guard. So I would go that direction.
You should see Arcan right now. I'm sure you're not watching yourself on twitch.tv/Boston, but you should just see him nodding along and patting himself on the back because that's how he would answer it as well.
But I don't think it's a guy dribbling the ball to top and go get me a bucket. I think it's action. And I've said this throughout the year. We need to be more organized down the stretch. Whatever we're going to do, we're going to open up the floor for a guy to attack in a certain area. Our players are that good. They can go right, left, pull up, everything. But you have to make sure that we're just like organizing the space a little bit better. If we do that, man, it could be Tatum, Brown, it could be White, it could be Holiday, like any of those guys. If you organize yourself and you have good options out there. Remember, sometimes there's bad defenders you can go at. So there's a lot of variable to that. But my whole thing is like be organized. Just be organized in what you want to do late in the game. And that thing about that's a buzzer beater. There's a tough shot by Brown, but that's an organized play off a baseline out of bounds.
One more quick. Why didn't the Pacers foul there?
The Pacers did so many things wrong. Why were they protecting the two? Why? Like if I was guarding that, my back would have been towards, half court or the sideline. I wouldn't have had my back just so I could see the ball. If they cut to the basket and got a layup, I would give that up. I had no idea what they were doing. It was like, we all been in like pickup games where we're like, all right, all we got to do is get one, no twos, take away the two, give up. Twos being like a 3-pointer, right? Give up the 2-pointer. We'll make sure we score on the other end. We've all been there before. Why were the Pacers playing that? Pause it at any point, and they all had no vision of the ball, and they all had their back to the basket. I would have guarded it the other way.
Okay, he's Brian Scalabrine. He joins us every Wednesday here on Jones and Mego with Arcan on WEEI. I've been told we're tentatively scheduled for a live sit down next week, Scal. We're actually going to be out and about next Wednesday. Supposedly that's the rumor that we're hearing here, although we've heard this rumor before. But we'll be out and about for some FaceTime next week. Yeah,
no drinking from me because I'll have the game later on. But
what do you think? Like we're going to be drinking? We're working.
No, he's right. Mego will be.
Mountain Dew and Vodka.
Mountain Dew Teeny. Yeah,
exactly. Scal, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, see ya.
All right, thank you. Brian Scalabrine joining us here on WEEI.
You guys are giving me a reputation.
Well, the Mountain Dew thing, that was definitely a callback by Scal to your Mountain Dew
but it's
obsession.
Like, yeah, that's me. I'm going to be boozing on air. What? No.